Okay, so Yasis, I'm going to start with you, okay, to go
Yes.
over a lot of the things that we've been talking about. And honestly, right, what you can do is you can listen, you can take notes if you want, okay, and then
Yes.
integrate what we're talking about with you, right, with Yasis. Okay, so um, anything that you have to share in particular, and then I'm going to go into some specifics.
Uh, I think I've shared the most of them in the last meeting. I need some suggestions regarding. So I was going through the application process. So initially, when we are using AI, so it suggested building a knowledge base. So to build the knowledge base, I need to have like the whole idea of the interface. So how many tables am I going to have? How do I have to filter?
Well, actually, you'll never have usually well unless you're doing a very small knowledge base, right? Plugging in the number of tables at the beginning is just an estimate, and so you can't say it's exact because depending on what you're going to expand into, right, it's not applicable to have an exact number that you stick with. But regardless, okay, what we want to do now is we want to go right from you just researching and cataloging and blah 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 into what are we going to actually use to build applications or to test existing applications to see whether they meet our needs, correct?
Yeah.
So either of those two choices. Okay, so before we get into that, one of the things that I did, I sent you some apps and I said, right, can you have AI just outline, right, the important aspects of this app or what they're talking about relating to this app. So if I send you like a video,
Okay.
okay, and it's about an app, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a spreadsheet of these types of videos where we have the name of the app, the link to the app, what the what area, what industry, again, of course, what's the category it's in, and what a description is, and then what this app can do, supposedly step by step.
Okay.
Now, do you have that format that I just described?
No, I don't have one. I have to create one.
So the thing is, when we find an app that we want to look into, what are we doing with it? Are we just looking into it and saying, oh, that's interesting and it's under graphics and that's it? Or are we getting specific, like I just said, so that we have a reference list of different apps and what their capabilities are?
We have to make a spreadsheet. I'll make it today.
You always have to make spreadsheets. That's the Pomoro system. So that's one thing. Okay. And then there's other criteria that go into that. Is it a free app? Right? Is it a paid app? What's the usage limitation? Blah, 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 blah. And if you don't know what all those categories are, what do you got to do? You got to run it through an AI as well. And then you got to analyze the information that comes back, right? And synthesize it and put it in. And then you want to test it with a couple of the videos that I've given you.
Hmm.
So, what's the best app to do this? And what do you have to do? You've got to write your objective, you've got to write your user generated prompt, right? And then and you've got to be really specific about what you want the app to do, what you want the AI to do in relationship to the app. So you've got to specify the columns And then you want to use those 4 different criteria for writing a good app. You remember what those are?
Yeah, for prompt writing, yes, I do remember. Uh, we need to define it expertise. We need to explain it what are the goals we are looking for. We need to give it a what is the output we are looking for, and then what format of output we are looking for. And there is one.
Any
And
limitation, any
yeah,
limitations
and yes, and
on
warnings and limitations. Yes.
the app in terms of like, hey, don't fabricate information, don't hallucinate, don't, you know, okay. So that's good. So you want to kind of develop another system based on what I'm saying so that we can plug videos in about AI and have them analyzed just like this. And then that's step 1, let's say. Okay, find an app, analyze a video about the app. And then step 2 could be, hey, how does this AI compare to this AI and this AI in the same field? Because that's the second app that we're developing, app comparison tool that we're developing now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now in terms of specifics, okay, Inasu, are you frozen?
No, I'm following.
Okay,
Hello?
your video is just on picture.
Yeah, like I was like, power is off. I tried to switch on the video. I informed you earlier. There's a blackout in my area.
Okay, so you don't want to use it. Okay, so that's fine. Go
Because
back on.
it's even dark. It can't show.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just go back on your picture. Okay, so the thing is, what we want to do is we want to find out what programs can we use for grant writing. We've got 40 plus programs. Okay. But what we don't want to do is have to write a new grant proposal for every grant we apply for. So, what AIs are out there that can streamline this process? Okay. And how can they work with an organization that has multiple programs? Because a lot of times you're going to have an NGO or an NPO, and they're going to have one program, and they would just want to apply over and over and over and over for grants for that one program. Well, we've got a problem. We've got 40 plus programs. Okay. So if they're doing an educational grant for youth, well, we might have 4 programs that qualify. Okay. So, but first, let's go with one. In other words, let's do a comparison between grant writing programs, what their strengths and weaknesses are, what the costs are for an NPO. Basically, we're going to run that through the system that we've created, right, after identifying what programs can do this. So, Inasu, what I want you to do is I want you to research what AI programs are out there that can help with grant acquisition, grant development and acquisition. And then I want you to create a spreadsheet with it, with the name of the program, the URL, that's a live link, a short description of it, and you're going to give that yeah. You can't hear me?
I beg your pardon on the second one. Hello? I
Yeah,
beg your pardon on the second.
I don't know. I don't know what I said in order in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yasis, do you know what I said in terms of order? 1, 2, 3, 4?
You
I
said
think it should be URL.
Is is that what you're asking in terms of the information that you want to include in your spreadsheet? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yes, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay. Ordinarily, I wouldn't tell you what that is. I'd want you to research what goes into a contact spreadsheet and what you need to put into it. That's the Pomoro system, not me telling you step by step by step what to go ahead and do.
No, that was not my question.
So
I was
what's
like, I wrote like I'm supposed to research about the programs out there which can help with grant program acquisition. But now the second part, I did not understand what you were meaning.
second part?
I beg your pardon on the second part.
You've got to go ahead and
Yes.
create a spreadsheet with those um, those apps in terms of what the name of the app is, what the URL is, right? What its capabilities are, in brief. Because what you're going to do is you're going to turn that into me for review, and then I'm going to give it to Yasis if it's correct. He's going to plug it into some other development software that we have to see which grant writing applications may be best for helping us with our process. So, do
Okay.
you know the difference between applications and websites? Yes?
Yes, I know.
Okay. So, we're looking for applications.
Yes.
Okay. So, what you have to do is you've got to write an objective, you've got to write a prompt, you've got to then take the objective and prompt and run that through AI and ask it to rewrite the prompt in order to have a better outcome in achieving the objective. And you've got to document every step of the way and be prepared to show it to me. This is all part of the Pomoro system.
Yes.
Okay. So, any questions about that?
There's no question. Just like my network is breaking. That's why I'm asking you to repeat
Yeah, no
some
worries.
few things.
No worries
Yeah,
at all.
but you'll send for me the recording afterward. Is it okay?
Not really, but I will.
No, really. It's fine.
I will because
It's okay.
it takes me time to transfer and everything else, but I'll get it to you either in one format or another. Okay.
Yes.
So
Because I will need it immediately. It's okay.
okay, I'm not going to respond to that. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say, right?
I knew already.
Good. So don't say that to me because right.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. I appreciate you wanting it as quickly as possible. Okay. So you got to learn how to be more diplomatic with what you're saying because you are not the boss. When you're the boss, right, then you can have limited,
Yes, I
right,
understand.
diplomatic skills. Okay. So, yes, I will get to you as soon as
Yeah.
I'm able, which will be today. Um, oh my goodness. All right. But I'm
Okay.
keep getting text messages. Okay. Um, okay. So
Yeah.
the once we get that information back, Yasis, from which AIs are capable of helping us break down the process, okay? Anasu, what you're gonna do
Yes.
is we're going to identify initially like 3 to 5 different grant areas that we do, knowing that we have 40. And Yasis, I want your opinion about this based on what you've seen with AI so far. Of course, we're going to have to research this. The thing is, Inasu, the objective is that we
Yes.
have all the information about a program like the Heart and Education in one place that we can access administratively, instead of going to 3 different websites and a book, okay, and an app. We need to consolidate all the information on all of our programs into each place. That's okay. That kind of like sucked in terms of how I said it, right? I don't want to say into one place because I don't want it to be confusing. Each one is going to have, let's say, their own. I don't want to even say file folder, because ideally I don't want this in 6 different files for one program. I want one master document, whether it's 30 pages or 150 pages. I don't care. Okay. As long as it has all the information on this particular program, this particular program, this particular program, so that when we need to go ahead and run it through a grant development program, it can go in and pull out the necessary information for the subcategories in order to answer the questions that are being asked by the grantor. Okay. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
the next thing that you're going to do, like tomorrow, this list that you're going to do quickly. And then I'm going to give you the list of like the 6 different ones that we want initially. You're going to start going through, and I'll give you the different sources. And you want to pull the information by copying it and pasting it into, believe it or not, a Word doc.
Yes.
And you want to be smart about it. So you want to say, right, what the source is up top. And then when you end that information for that source, cut it at the bottom, put they call it a separator in there, and then label your next source, okay, with the URL, and follow the same format for each of the sources. So you're going to go to first, right, planned acts of kindness. Second, One Planet, One People. Third, right, the work-life balance, CSR work-life balance hub websites. Okay. And then you're going to add in a page from the book that has to do with that program. And that information is on the app, right? Or I can give you a PDF for it. But the thing is, now you're starting to have a complete directory of all our information. Now, I have a question for you, Yasis. Do you think that there's an app that can go through just what I said and pull that information from different places in order to categorize it? The problem I have, even if it can do that, what's the problem? I'll tell you. The problem is that AI is designed to summarize information. So it can pull the information and then it can do an outline. Just like if you're having a meeting, it will do a summary of the meeting. I don't want any AIs summarizing my language that I wrote on my websites or apps, because in the specific grants, you're going to have to use my language, period, in the grant. In other words, we're not going to have AI rewrite what I write in order to present it into a grant. It might go ahead and do transitions, it might change whatever, but not really the base language that I use, because AI cannot write better than I can. So you understand that, Inasu?
I understand.
Okay. So Yasis, if you can check while he's doing his thing, the second thing is if you can check to see if there's any type of program that can do this, and it may be an AI agent that can do this.
I'll have a look into it, but I need to have like I haven't worked with grants, so I want to just have an idea to get on the top of my head. So when you're filling for a grant, is it like mostly a one-liner answers or an yes or no, or is it in paragraphs and some proofs and photos to be added to it?
Well, it's usually a very long process that involves a lot of writing in terms of going ahead and saying what your program, how it's unique, how it impacts a certain group, and then it's like a mini business plan. So if you've ever seen a business plan, okay, I like I wrote a business. I've written business plans for my organization, but I've written them for outside organizations, right? And it's a 70-page book. Now, grants are not going to be 70 pages ordinarily, unless you're doing like a huge whatever, okay? But normally it's going to be multiple pages, multiple pages. Yes. And
I'll have to look at it.
What you do is just type into your AI, right? Give me a sample educational grant for youth. And then boom, there's your answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do on the first, continued AI development, right? And grant writing. And then the grant writing will get more analytical and sophisticated because we'll have it go to certain sites and then see what the grants that are being offered, and when they match our industry's education, sustainability, blah, 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 it will then go to the materials that we have, okay, for specific grants, and then complete A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it has to be reviewed by a human because we don't trust AI. I just read an article today about what's the name of the company? It starts with a C. And they had a multi-billion-dollar offer to buy this company. Okay. And they were using AI in customer service to handle their customer service. And the AI told, right, the customers that an email addressing a certain problem had been sent out to them with a fix. No email had ever been created or ever sent. The AI fabricated the information, which now calls into question their takeover at that valuation that they were given before. Another company in Canada, the AI promised customers that they would get a refund on things. Well, that was never authorized by management. AI just made it up and offered it. I don't know about you. My AI is running my company. Okay.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that they can do, like what we're talking about with AI agents, and we're going to get into more of those in just a minute, right? We have some other people who are going to join. Okay. Um, but the thing is, I'm not going to have them go ahead and create policy. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
remember how limitations are always a very important aspect of when you're writing your prompts. And let me just share something. Let's see if I can find this. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I just went ahead and I didn't want it to do that. So let me just see if it can not do that. Okay. Oh, that's really not great because it spread it out so much. Okay. So, right, this is an example of a prompt that I wrote. You are a project development engineer with over 20 years experience in creating consumer products and promotional displays. Create a template RFQ for a point to purchase POP displays that our company can populate and submit to potential suppliers for quotations. Break down the RFQ into subcategories, include all relevant fields that need to be completed, including samples, Q&A, shipping payments, blah, blah, blah. Cite examples, right, with working links as comparisons. And then I fed it in, right, a template model to use as well. Okay. Then I went ahead and I got more specific in the next one, where I put in specifications right into the prompt. And then based upon, right, information I got back, I revised it and I added specifics in a couple other categories, right, that I might have mentioned before, but I got even more specific with it. So that's what you can do. You can write your prompt, you can ask it to make your prompt better, but also you can constantly revise your prompt to get better and better information. Okay. And then we're doing, along with that, right, we're doing diagrams, as well.
Mhm.
We're doing, right, we're doing, right, we're doing graphics, okay, that show what it's going to look like. So in this case, I did the design, and I have one of my architecture students put together, right, the tower and how it's going to look. So, okay. Any questions on anything that we've gone over so far?
No, nothing for now.
Okay. So that's the first part of what we're going to talk about. There's
Mhm.
another part that we're going to talk about, and that is what we touched on before, which is using the AIs as agents for setting up a human resource program. Okay, give me just a minute. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure who's supposed to attend this. Somebody's still at work, so they can't. Um, let's see. Okay, and somebody else is having a power supply issue, but with the internet. Okay, so let me see if she's going to be able to join.
Hello, Mr. Benjamin.
Yeah. Hmm. Go ahead.
Yes, I was like, there's some things I failed to note. My bandwidth is very low. The internet is breaking. I'm not on my regular internet connection due to power problem.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, if you
I
need,
wanted also to ask, did you check through my work? The corrections I tried
okay, I only go over corrections when I'm online.
to do.
I do not go over corrections independent of meetings. So if you want to go over that at a different time, we can.
Yes, at a different time we can, like tomorrow.
But you'll have to show me on screen and you'll have to present.
Yes.
Okay, no
I
problem.
say I'll present this and that, yeah.
Yeah, you can present both. Sure, no problem at all.
Yeah, I can present both.
Okay, so let's just go ahead because I don't know if the person can join because of the internet. Okay, so let's just go ahead with it. Okay, let me call up what I want to go over. Okay, I'm going to put this information in the chat so you don't have to outline it. Okay, Yasis? Or I can put it in the in your whatever you call it chat, in your WhatsApp. That might be better. WhatsApp. Okay. You know what CRM is? You know what CRM is? Anybody?
I've heard of it before. Yeah, but no.
It's a
Customer relation
CRM using
management.
the customer relationship management.
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be like a CRM map for us, both on the administrative side, okay, and we're going to say candidate side because we're using this for HR purposes. So it's an HR CRM. Okay. So what we have to do is have the ability to go ahead. She said, give her a minute. Okay. So I'll give her 61 seconds because that's all we got. Is I got another 5 o'clock meeting. Okay. Um, just I'll just mention this aspect. Yes, is we are also with this possible one or a different, we need to start creating apps and then having the ability to go ahead and post them at Google Play and Apple Store. Okay. So the thing is that I have multiple apps that we can create. So in the past, we were using Glide to create our app, which is a data-driven app. Then we switched to Adalo. Now we want to explore if we can do this completely independent of other programs, okay, and create it and then have it hosted through, right, one of the, the two main sources, okay? So that we don't have to, as a nonprofit, keep paying these exorbitant fees to go ahead and get these things done. Okay. So the thing is, the apps need to have, right, database capability built in, where we can connect through APIs. So I sent you something on the new program that Google developed.
Yes, Firebase. Yes.
Okay. So that's one possible program to use, because then it can integrate with Google Sheets, right? And whatever else we need. And hopefully it's got the force of Google behind them, right? So that it can do what we want it to do. Another thing is, Canva itself is now using Sheets. So setting up a UX UI driven app through design incorporated with Sheets may be an answer. I don't know, because we have to research it. So it would be like comparing workflow or whatever the hell it is, to, right, to Canva's capability with Sheets or whatever their program's called, as well as other ones that we find in the mix. What's going to be easy to develop? So what are the criteria? Ease of development. Okay. You tell me some of the other criteria. Why I write her a note and tell her that, right, being fashionably late is not an option.
Ease of development, maintenance, scalability.
Say that again, please.
We need to be, it has to have low maintenance, so not too much of servers and not too much stress on the GPU, essentially, and databases that are.
Well, the thing is that if they're being hosted by, they're being sold by through the platforms of Apple and Google, as well as, right, if they're available through, let's say, one of our servers, okay, it's really a question of what goes into the app that determines, what the load is. Okay. So if we have an app and it centers around video content, but we put all that on our server, yeah, that's going to be a hell of a load. But if it's all tied into YouTube, then YouTube has the load.
Yeah.
And it just goes back and forth between the app and YouTube. but I'm not necessarily worried about that aspect of it right now. I'm not worried about, but what we need to consider is how quickly can we ramp up through the learning curve, right? Through the development curve, through the implementation curve, right? What's the cost for doing this? Right? And if we pay a monthly fee or an annual fee for their framework, how many apps can we develop through it? How many users can we put through it? This is a similar question we asked before. Or the thing is, are we just writing code in Flutter or some other language? And then when we're ready to go ahead, right, we, publish it through a platform and then, take it to Apple Store after that. So what are our options in terms of, app development? Okay. And time has run out for her to show up. So let's get into it for the, and I'm talking about multiple things here. So break down each one into a different section. Okay. And then put it into your spreadsheet for managing. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So for the CRM, what we're talking about is we have to have, these are different sections that really go through the cycle. First, we've got to go ahead and post listings, right, at schools and colleges, okay, for our internship program. Start date, end date, renewal date for the listing. That's for the listing itself. Okay. But then for candidates, we have to go into the posts at message boards and at the schools, right? And the candidates will then go ahead and text in or email in saying that they're interested. And then we message back and we give them the steps that they need to do. And that might include, right, watching the orientation video, going, doing X, Y, and Z, responding to us on WhatsApp. Okay. And then we send them a follow-up message with a calendar invite. They go ahead and do that. And then we have a Zoom meeting where we go over policies, procedures, and success characteristics. And Gift, is there a reason why you're not on video? Okay. So when we have a meeting time, it's extremely important that you honor that meeting time because we can't wait for you. If you
Yes, I understand.
excuse me?
I'm so sorry that I'm late. I was looking for good internet connection.
Okay. Well, then you can text in by phone that you're having a problem with the internet, right? But if you know that's a problem, then show up 5 minutes early.
Okay. Noted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what we're talking about is, right, developing a app-driven CRM program. You're familiar with CRM? If I ask you what is it, can you tell me?
No.
Okay, so don't say yes when you haven't gotten to yes yet, right? Make your notes for the meeting and then research what you don't know. And then add what you don't know to your spreadsheet. It's customer relationship management. So we're doing, right, and we're going to be developing an HR app for CRM or CRM HR app. Okay. And right. Okay. So there's certain aspects of this in terms of information data that you might have to research. Okay. Not for the app, but for the content that we're utilizing. So what we're talking about right now, I'll give you this information in your WhatsApp, and you can put this into your master spreadsheet. Okay. So the thing is that one of the tasks that I might give you is you want to research, right, the top 100 public universities, and how do we go ahead and sign up One Planet, One People with our internship program to offer to their students. So you would create a contact spreadsheet that you would populate with this information. Top 100 universities, top 50 private universities. And you would use, right, obviously Google to research. You can use AI to research, right? Provided that you use the right, you've got to write your objective, what you want to achieve. You've got to write your prompt in terms of what you want your AI to go ahead and research and come back with. And then you should be taking your objective and your prompt and running that through AI and asking the AI to go ahead and rewrite it to make it better in terms of achieving your outcome, your objective. Do you follow that? That doesn't look like a very strong yes. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes or no?
Yes.
Don't say I don't follow.
I follow.
So then I need it more demonstrative. Okay. So I can actually see it, because if you do this, I don't know whether you do it or not. You understand that?
Okay.
Okay. This is communication. You need to do it at a high level, like you're in management, not just a worker. That's what you're here for. Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. There you go. Now you're learning. Okay. My work is done. Goodbye. I'm kidding. Okay. It's not yet end of the day. Okay. So that's the first thing that we're going to have you do, is to research and create a database of top schools. And you need to go ahead, when you do your spreadsheets initially, I don't want you researching all 100. I want you to set up the fields that go into your spreadsheet, and I want you to populate that with several different examples, and then that's what you show. Because the objective is for you not to go ahead and just do this as a task, but to do it correctly. And if you don't get your work reviewed and you don't get feedback on it, you don't know how to do it correctly. So you always have to show your work, okay, at the early stages to make sure you're on the right track. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now, the other thing is that we talked about our top 100 schools. Is there anything that you want to know about what I'm asking you to do related to this? Anything you can think of?
Mm,
Nothing? Anybody?
Is it specific to a country or a region or throughout the world? Because we're a global organization, I guess we are doing it throughout the world.
Very good, Yasis. That's the right question that needs to be answered. Right? Our rights are we're a US based nonprofit. So the question that you could have asked is, do you want all the universities, right, to be US based? And the answer is no, we don't. We want it internationally based because we're global. So the thing is that you can add that into the mix as well. You shouldn't have done that. That was not smart. Not you, talking off camera. Okay, good get. Okay, so you want to do it globally. And you can break that down by doing it in the United States, and then you can be doing it in other regions. You can break it down by region. You can do it by Asia. You can do it by Africa. You can do it by South America. Okay. Gift. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're getting there, right? Okay, so that's one thing. That's the first thing that you'll do. And once you show me, which you should be able to show me by tomorrow, what you've done. I told you, you need to speed up your response time. Okay. So the thing is that then I will give you additional steps because I don't want to give you too much at one time. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I have a question. Okay, you said top 100 public uni and top 50 private uni. Then and you said something about signing them up. Like, I want to understand what we are researching on.
Okay, what you're asking? What are you searching on?
Yes, like the 10 under public uni. Is it like you are looking for universities that we can sign up for one planet, one people, or like I want to.
This is about interns.
Okay.
We're talking about we want to find out how we can sign up to offer our internship programs to their students. Okay, that's the purpose of it. So we already have a bunch of universities where we get students from all over the United States. Okay, but actually they're coming into our sister organization, Planned Acts of Kindness. We need to add in One Planet, One People, and we need to also add in a lot more international schools as well. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so do it as best you can and then show me. And then you learn by having to redo your work based upon the feedback that you get. And don't do this, a hint, do not do this out of your own thoughts about how it should be done. You must research how it should be done. Everyone has to research here. That's one of the components to the Pomoro system. The other is when you start a project, you got to know what your objective is, and you got to be able to write that out in prose form. Okay? So it's objective, research, then outline and spreadsheet. Okay. So that's what you're going to work on. Okay. But Yasis, what we need to do is we need to take one of the AI agents and we need to actually start using it. So you and I need to look at those agents in depth and then I'll choose which one we're going to utilize, and then we're going to start having to build it. Okay. And
So,
there's something interesting that I've noticed about all the AI agents that I've seen. They all require a tremendous whiteboard. That's like 3 miles long. I'm joking about the size, but the thing is that they all require a huge, amount of real estate. Now, obviously, you can shrink that down and expand it, when you need to go ahead and see it all in one screen or all on. But it looks like the ones that really do a good job integrate a lot of different elements into the different sections so that they can interact. Okay. So think about which ones you want to show me, right? And there's going to be different ones for building the app and other ones for going ahead and doing, right, the CRM.
okay.
Okay. Now, something closely tied to the CRM is, Julia, you can come on screen. All right. Just raise yourself up a little bit. Okay, keep going. Higher, higher, higher. There you go. Okay. And Gift, you're a little too low down. Okay. It's probably because you're on your phone. Okay. So, hi. How you doing? Okay. So one of the things that we want the AI to do is sort of automate some of the processes that we have for the different programs themselves. Okay. And another area that it can do. So first, we spoke about grant writing, then we spoke about the HR CRM. Now we're going to talk about, right, just strictly like administrative agents. Okay. So one thing that we want the agent to be able to do is to give it a criteria, like we want what we call people of influence, and we want their contact information. We want to know who they are, what they've done. Okay. Isaac.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We're talking about just the automation of some of the things that we are working on, that you'll work on, that Julia's working on, where we can use AI agents possibly to speed up the process. Okay. So the thing is that we want to put in our criteria, people of influence, okay, who are experts in, or have a background or interest in this particular area, this particular discipline, okay, and that they have a certain level of following, either on some social media platform, Facebook, X, Instagram, whatever, right? Or they're, an author of a best-selling book, right? Or, right, they're featured on radio, right? Or talk shows and things like this, and they have a following, so that the AI can actually research those people and then come back with, right, a database of prospects. Okay. Felista, you need to go on video when you come into meetings. Okay. So that's one aspect. Okay. Another aspect that we're doing when we're doing books is we might do a book on sustainability, mental health, community issues that families face. What we want the AI to do to speed up the process is to do research into what are the top 25 issues in this area of sustainability, or, whatever the breakdown is, if we're doing, okay. So what are the top 25 issues that impact the largest number of people? Okay. So an example I was giving to somebody else just the other day is, right, if someone dies from a particular illness, okay, that's devastating to that family. But if not a lot of people die out of the whole percentage of people who are getting sick, okay, and contracting the illness, putting the fact that people die in the book doesn't affect enough people to make it warranted. So if, let's say, a sustainability issue impacts a small group of people living on an island in Bora Bora, okay, that doesn't affect enough people to go into a book that's supposed to be, right, at least regional in scope, like Africa or Southeast Asia, right, or Europe or whatever, right? It's just not large enough of a population pool. Okay. Now, we sometimes do specialty books with smaller audiences, like churches and whatever, but that's to a specific group. Okay. So the thing is that, one, we've got to have people of influence, okay, that we uncovered. We got to speed up the process of finding out who they are and how to contact them. Okay. Through, usually, right, depending on whether they're with a company, we can contact them through the company, or if they're a celebrity, we have to go to their publicist or public relations company, or their management company. Okay. So those are the two things that we would look at. If it's a company, we'd go directly to the company, to management, to headquarters, to ask if they're a CEO or something like that. Okay. So what's the connection point? And then, right, we want to research subjects or subcategories that can go under the main category for the book. So the book title is called 16 Things We All Can Do to Act Right and Help Save the Planet. And then there's special edition books, like I said, on any of the SDG subjects. And there's 17 of those subjects, any ESG subject. Okay. So virtually almost anything you can think of that impacts a lot of people, we can actually do a book on. Okay. So then for that, you've got, right, the people of influence, you've got the subjects, and then what we want to do is we want to automate again, right? We want to try to contact them verbally. If we can't contact them verbally, then we go to secondary sources. We can send an email. We might contact them through LinkedIn. So the AI has to be able to go ahead and write custom messages off of templates. And then it's got to be able to get them out. So it's got to tie into, right, our email program for sending out. And we actually can customize what we send out based on merged fields. So we can make the letter very specific, Okay. And another thing that when we research the POIs, one of the things that we need to know is if they've supported any other causes in the past. Because we want to contact them for a cause that they're interested in. So if we're doing a book on youth issues, we don't want to contact somebody, right, who's, causes geriatrics, okay? People over 80, all right? So we've got to go ahead and have that as one of the fields as well. Okay. Now, these are things that if you're working on a book or something like that, you would be running yourself through our same system. You should be writing what your objective is, what your prompt is, how specific do you want, right, the AI to come back with that information? In what format do you want it to come back? Right? You want to have it come back as a spreadsheet. Okay. And you want it to come back with any working URLs, not just the name of, right, the organization. You want an actual URL link as well. Same thing. You want to know what their LinkedIn is, what their social media is, and you want the active links to those things. And you all should be writing notes on what I'm talking about. Okay. So then once you have the information and you want to have an email sent out, you should be using a approved email from our organization. You should not be writing the email, and you should not be necessarily having AI write the email either, but you can have AIs write the emails and then ask me to approve it. Okay. But ask it to use language that comes from us in the email. In other words, we have a specific way that we present things, right? Who do we go to? Who do we work to benefit? Anyone know? Anyone know? Speak up. Who do we work
Planet
with?
and the kids.
Sorry?
The planet and the kids.
Okay. You got 2 out of 3 correct, but you got the order completely incorrect. Anyone know? Julia, you're saying something, but you're on mute. Unmute.
The kids.
Okay, I think you went off of mute a little too quickly, but I think I got it. You said, got it. Kids. People. And the planet.
The people and
And you got a really terrible feedback. Okay. All right. The feedback is your computer with the sound, the audio. But yes, kids, people, and the planet. Right? So there are common phrases that we use all the time that you have to learn because you're going to be doing at some point outreach and engagement with people. Even if you're sharing this with a family member, somebody you went to school with, right? A company that you want them to know about what we're doing because they might want to participate on a CSR or a HR, aspect, or make us their charitable partner, okay? Or your church or your temple or your mosque or whatever it is, right? You've got to know how to go ahead and talk about it, even if it's only for a minute. And in that minute, if you're not using the right language, it can all go bye-bye. So, how about this? another thing that you can do that I want each one of you to do is one thing that I said to some of you, and I might not have said it to everybody, right? I want you to go ahead and generate a list of 50 industry essential terms that you need to know, okay, about the field that you're in. And you put that in a spreadsheet. You're actually supposed to show that to me, and you're supposed to read it and understand what those terms are. The other thing that you're supposed to know is like the top, I don't know what I said, 25 or whatever. Things about how to use Excel. Okay. Because, right, I've got people who have master's degrees in data analytics who come in and they don't know how to use Excel properly. That's not acceptable. I'm not supposed to be teaching you all how to use Excel. Okay. So you've got to research top 30 things you need to know about using Excel and then actually use them. Okay. So I'm done with my rant for that. But the thing is, what I want you guys to do is I want you to research and see if you can figure this out. The top or a lot of the phrases that we use in the organization to talk about what we do. I was on the phone earlier today with one of our guys in, I think he's in Uganda. And he said, one of the things I love is that you break things down into systems and you've got, the 4 components of project management. You got the 8 essential foundation skills. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you all have access to videos. You've got access to the websites. I want you, and it doesn't have to be done all at one time. You can do this over the course of this week. I want you to build up a list of these things and spend a little bit of time each day going through different websites we have, going through different materials that we have, and uncovering as many of these as you can find. Okay? Because when you learn these things and you start utilizing these things, you're going to start to transform from a worker into management and leadership. Calista?
Yes.
If you don't smile, I'm going to go ahead and terminate, right, my call, and then you guys can talk amongst yourselves. Okay? I don't want you coming into meetings and looking like you don't want to be here. Okay? Because if I've got to be here and I've got to smile, even though I'm talking really serious about this stuff, right? I want to see the same level of energy from you all.
Okay.
So right now, all I see is Julia making an attempt at this. Oh, there goes Gift. Okay, that's good. Isaac, great. Inasu, I know you're smiling, but you always smile when you're on video. Okay, Yasis, that's you've done better. But I'm serious about that. You need to know how you come off in meetings. Now, you might not be able to see yourself, okay, but you can see other people and you can see the energy that they give off. And the thing is that you all want to be, I know some of you say you don't want to be, but you're going to be anyway, right? Management and leadership. Okay, at some point in your life, that should be where you aspire to. So you've got to practice it. If it doesn't come naturally, well, work on it here, because you might be interviewing for a job in the future, or you might want a promotion from us. And you've got to do the work to get the promotion. So I have faith in you, Felista, that you can do it. Right? Abraham, you've got a gift for doing this stuff. So why don't you use it? Julia, you don't want to be left at the end, right? Being last in line, right? When you can start with an A and end with a Z. Don't just start with the Z. Okay. That was a really bad one, but sorry. I can't remember how to pronounce your last name. Okay. I'm done with that. All right. Okay. So you all, there's a lot more Yasis that we're going to get into on the HR and, gift. You're going to see more of that. People who are interested in HR and interested in the project management, right? You're going to have lots of time and, ways to increase your knowledge on these areas, right? Those of you who are working on the books, okay, those use a whole bunch of different skills in order to do that, right? You'll be able to go ahead and see the results of the efforts that you're doing, right? INAS is working on grant development and some of the aspects related to that, right? And it ties into all the work that we're doing in the different programs as well. So I think for right now, okay, since I've been going nonstop since 3 o'clock on this one call, we're going to stop. You have the things that you need to do. And again, don't wait for me to contact you, right? Check in and say, hey, when's our next meeting? Okay. And if you say, can we meet right now? I may or may not be able to do that because I'm in meetings and I also have some work to do sometimes. But what we're going to have is more of these group sessions where we can go through things. Now, some sessions, right, you'll be presenting. Okay? Because that's how you're going to get professional feedback on what you're doing. It's not always going to be me talking and sharing information and saying, hey, smile.
Can we, like, when we are presenting, can you let us know so that we prepare?
Wait, say that again? Say again?
Like, when it's time to present, can you tell us before the time so that we'll prepare?
Oh, okay. How about this? Every time you come on from now on, you're going to be presenting. I mean, Julia, how many times have you had present? Right? Often. Yeah. Right? Often.
I have no.
Right? So,
Because I don't have
right?
spreadsheets.
So,
All I have is
boy, your
that how
internet
much
is terrible today. Yeah, we can't hear you. You're blaring. Yeah, we can hear you. You're blaring. And there's an echo. So, what country are you in? Julia, what country are you in?
Well, right now I'm in United States in
Yeah, yeah. So she's in the United States, and her internet is worse than Inasu's, right? Is worse than most of yours, right? When you're in countries far, far away. Okay, so that's how bad the U.S. is sometimes, right? About things. Okay, but the thing is that gift. The difference between what you're doing here and what you did in school, besides having professors talk to you the way that I do, okay, is that you're always going to be presenting your work in order to get professional feedback so that you have to revise it, come back and present again. Earlier today, I was meeting with one of our people who's doing architectural product development, and I'd say since yesterday, including Sunday, we've been on 5 Zoom calls in less than 2 days, going over her work because she's now getting into the final stages of it, and it's no longer acceptable to do things at even a B level. We have to raise what she's doing to an A level so that we can present it in the real world. To get her to see what she's not seeing between that B and A level takes a lot of steps. Okay, because not only does she have to see it, she's got to go back and do it and then present again. And when she does it, she makes additional mistakes. But you know what? That's what you all do too in your own respective fields. It's the same. So the thing is, what you have to do is present so that you're comfortable presenting, present so that you get feedback, so that you know how to start analyzing your own work before it gets to your supervisor, your boss, your client. And that will take time for you to see. Okay? So even people, right, who've been working for 5, 10, 20 years in the real world, when they present to me, they're still going to have to revise what they do. Now, it might take them a shorter time to go through the different iterations because they have more experience. But they're still going to have to go ahead and learn, right, to get it up to that level, because the level that I do is very, very different from your professors, right, from your bosses and managers in the past. So anyway, always be prepared. Okay. And one thing I say is always have a reason for what you've done when you're showing your work. Don't just do things randomly. Have a reason for what you're doing and be able to state what that reason is. Because you're going to present in a meeting and somebody's going to say, why did you do that way? And you're going to say, ChatGPT told me to do it that way. Right? Well, that's not a good answer. That's not an acceptable answer, because they're going to come back and say, you know what? Right? Your salary, it just went to covering costs for ChatGPT. Because we just hired ChatGPT to do your work. Okay? So, right? We want you to go in with a different mindset. Okay. Any questions on anything that I've gone over so far? Yasis, you're good, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. So start on what you've got to do, right? And how long is it going to take you to do, right, the things I just assigned? One day. Right? In terms of the lists that you have to do. The list about the programs and the language that we use and all that, that can take you longer. I told you have a week, right, to go ahead and assemble that. You might want to go ahead and show it to me in advance to get my feedback on what you're doing. If you don't want to go a week, then show me your list. And then I say, wait a sec, this isn't what we talked about. You're going off in a completely different direction. So you've got to still use the Pomoro system to do what you're doing, even if I've given you a week to do something. You got to show your work and get it evaluated. Okay. Nobody has any questions for me? You're all good?
I have
You're all
a
good?
question, Mr. Benjamin.
Yeah, go ahead. Faith, you had a question, Felista?
Yes.
Go ahead, sure.
Can we like send to your WhatsApp earlier before the Zoom meeting the work that is given?
Okay, you can always go ahead and text me your work, okay, but I will never look at it in advance.
Oh.
You know why? Anybody know why?
Yes, I think you said it earlier. One of the policy is you must present it. And at the verge of presenting, that is when you can be able to correct instantly. So you don't have time to still have to go back and then. So it's better to present it. Having present at that time, you get your correction and you move forward.
There's absolutely no reason why I have to review it in advance, only to go over it again with you. It doesn't take me, right? I don't have to study it. I can look at it and analyze it right away. Okay. So that's what I did. Let's see. Okay, but that was a good question anyway. It's a reasonable question. Thank you. When they're not reasonable questions, don't worry, I'll let you know. But you can still ask the questions. I might not answer them, right? And I might not answer them for a couple of different reasons. One is I might want you to think about the answer and you're just being lazy and you wanted me to answer it for you, right? That's not acceptable, right? Okay, so go ahead, Isaac. You had a question?
Yes, thank you very much. I think my question has to do with the issue of the book series that we have to work on. And we talked about the sports special edition, entrepreneurship special edition, and as it were, if I may be able to say something, it seems
you already
those
have
book series.
Wait, you've been talking, it seems like, for 10 minutes. Now you're going to get the question? Okay, this is something I've told you about before.
Yes, you have said it.
You've
You
got
said
to
it.
the point much
Let me straightforward.
No, Elon Musk, no matter what you say about the guy, he's got a great time management, right, program. You got 5 minutes for your meeting, and that's it. Okay, so go. You're on the spot. You only got 5 minutes. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Right now, is it quite okay to dwell on the special entrepreneurship special edition in terms of the book series? Is it okay to just focus on that right now?
Yes.
To deal with that. Then after finishing, then I can be able to look at any other one that I can work on. Would that be okay?
Does anyone know the answer to that question? Can anyone help Isaac out?
Okay. We all know, sir.
Julia's saying she can help you out. Julia, what's the answer to his question? What's the answer?
Is my mic?
Type it in. What's the answer?
Hello?
Type it in.
Yes, you can, because.
Okay, he answered it. Okay, kill your microphone. Okay, she answered it, and she said, yes, you can. And the reason why she knew that, you know why she knew that?
No.
Because I answered you while you were still asking the question, but you didn't hear me answer you. Okay. Okay, which brings me back to another issue, right, that you all need to learn. I was on a phone earlier with a person who wants to intern, who has 5 years, right, business experience. She wants to intern with the organization. She's here in the United States. And we got done having our conversation. And she said, I said, do you have any questions about anything that I talked about? And she said, yes, I have 2 questions. And then she said, one, can you go over the different things that I'm going to go ahead and be doing and the policies and procedures about how I'm going to be doing it, right? Can you share with me that information now? And I said, no. I said, I already said, literally 2 minutes before I asked, are there any questions? I said that the next meeting that we will have, we will go into the specifics. of what you'll be doing, which is what I said to all of you before you started. So she said, well, I just wanted to know, what I'll be doing. And I said, I already said that would be the next meeting. And that one thing about communication is you need to listen to what the person is saying. It's not just about what you're saying and the questions that you want to ask. You've got to actually listen, internalize what they're saying. That's good communication. So she said, okay. So I said, what's your next question? She said, my next question is, let's see if I can remember what the hell it was. Yeah, I forget what the hell it is now because, and so she asked the question and I said, I'm not going to answer that one also because I said, oh yeah, it was about what's the time. I said, she said, what's the time frame for you getting back to me about my OPT letter, which is a training letter required in the United States, okay, for a certain program. And I said, I answered that already as well. After I said that we wouldn't get into the procedures until the next meeting, I said, for your OPT letter, once you do this step, then, right, we'll be able to go on the next step, which is your letter, and the time frame for doing that will take 2 to 3 days. Yet that was the question she just asked me. What's the time frame for getting my letter back? Okay. If this was an interview for a job, they would have disqualified her right away, regardless of what's on her CV. So the point is that when you're talking to, right, your coworker, your manager, your client, you have to really attentively listen. You have to focus 100% and really understand what they're talking about. And if you need to, write some notes, because that's part of the policies and procedures that you need to do to do your work effectively. Okay? And it gets worse from there, but I won't tell you about the other candidate who I'm talking about, because they failed on the next step too, which was sending in the right information into WhatsApp that I had requested. Because they're used to doing it a certain way, even though their GPA is a 3.9. That means that they were excellent as a student. They're not excellent in the real world. Okay? So the thing is, right, pay attention to what I'm talking about. Try to absorb as much as possible so that you can recall as much as possible. When I say that there's 4 components to the Pomoro system, you got to say, okay, well, what are those components? Let me go ahead and research if I don't know them. And you research on our websites for our material. Don't research on somebody else's website or blah, blah, blah about what we do and how we do it and how we talk about how we do it, because you're going to fail. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Isaac, you got another question, or you got to put your hand down manually? Go ahead.
I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see. All righty. Okay. So everybody else is good? Okay. If you're good,
Yes.
say good. If you're not good, if you're not good, I don't want to hear it. No, I'm kidding. Okay. So You all know what you got to do. I'll see you most likely tomorrow. And we'll go from there. Okay. If you have any other questions or you're working on something that you want to show me or whatever, just text me and let me know, and we'll go from there. Okay. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Everybody learn a little bit?
Yes, very helpful.
Yes, very. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I want to hear. All righty. Smile, guys. We have a program. It's on the website. It's called Smile and Wave. How do we want to end our meetings? Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Yasis. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Gift. Felista, bring your hand up. Up, 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 up. Raise them to the sky. Okay, thank you. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.